So I had this idea. I see a lot of YouTube compilations of TikTok conspiracy videos, and I have a lot of people asking for long form content. And even though I post on TikTok every day, I know not everyone gets on TikTok. So what I'm going to start doing is every week, all my videos throughout TikTok, I'm going to edit them together in one compilation video. So it's just going to be my face a bunch of times and just repeats of my videos. But if you just watch my videos on YouTube, you're going to get fresh content every single week of all the videos that I posted over there. And also, people from TikTok, you're going to get a lot of the content that every time I post over there on TikTok, they automatically take it down. So you're going to have exclusive YouTube content that they just didn't feel that was right over there, or ineligible for recommendation, let's say. But you know what? Let's just get the propaganda rolling right off the bat. But did y'all know in the 19th century in New England there was a vampire panic? So apparently in the 1800s, tuberculosis was sweeping through families in places like New England. The illness caused people to grow pale, thin, weak, often coughing up blood. New England Nosferatu. And those victims slowly wasted away, sometimes taking months or years. And to the people at the time, it looked weird. Someone in their family would die, then another relative would start showing the same symptoms, then another. It created the impression that the first dead person was somehow draining the life from the living. So, your first thought is going to be vampires. So family members started digging up the dead bodies of their relatives looking for signs of vampirism. And because decomposition works in weird ways, they sometimes found things that look suspicious. The body might still have blood in the heart or the mouth, which is, vampires. And this being New England, the skin still could look preserved because of the cold soil, and hair and nails appear longer as the skin shrinks. So the only solution to fix the problem of having vampires in your city was to remove the heart and lungs and burn them. Or they would sometimes mix the ashes with water and give it to the sick family member to drink as a cure. Because personally, the cure to all ailments is drinking the ash from your dead relatives. But it wasn't vampires at all. It was just sweeping tuberculosis, or consumption. There's probably tiers to conspiracies. And let's talk about, a low-level tier that I've been thinking about lately. Has anyone noticed that the gas that we've been buying lately has not been lasting hardly at all? And I mean literally, just that. It seems like I'm filling up my tank even more than I normally fill it up. And obviously it's more expensive because of all the dumb shit decisions our government's been making. And there's got to be things that they can add into our fuel, that way we have to go to the pump even sooner. And the billionaires and the elite, the ones that own these corporations, really don't care if we're saving money. They just care if we spend the money in their direction. I personally don't feel like I'm the only one noticing this. I have talked to people in my real life who also feel the same way. Just start thinking about this. If oil industries are worried that we're going to run out of gas, or, they just don't want to use their reserves, which is the more believable factor than us actually running out, then they could add stuff inside the fuel to make us refill more times. That way we think we're getting X amount of gas, but in reality, we're just getting less gas and we're burning it up because they're adding stuff into it. I could just be rambling about this right now, but I really want to know if y'all are noticing these kind of things. So let's talk Aliens.gov, and I guess also Alien.gov. So on March 17th of 18th of this year, the federal government officially registered the domains Aliens.gov and Alien.gov. Currently, the status is not live, and if you try to go to the pages, it gives you an error message. But the domains were registered through the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which is under the Executive Office of the President. And when asked what was the purpose of getting these domain names, the White House Principal Deputy Press Secretary Anna Kelly, that's a mouthful, said stay tuned. And you know what that probably means? Project Bluebeam. And if you don't know what Project Bluebeam is, it's pretty much the claim that the government or global organizations would stage a fake alien invasion, or, Jesus coming back, a full-blown religious event. And the goal of this theory is to push humanity towards a one-world government. Pretty much they're going to push advanced holographic projections into the sky to either be aliens or Jesus coming back. So if you're ready for more distraction of what's going on in the world right now, get ready for more distraction, because here it comes. And when they finally finish the script, it's going to be over there on Aliens.gov, I guess. What I found out today? That both Beyonce's mom and Kelly Slater, the professional surfer, are shapeshifters. Shapeshifters, fallen angels, Nephilim. It's all over the place, really. It just depends on what conspiracy page you click on TikTok today. We'll start with the Kelly Slater one. I don't know if this will get back to the guy that actually posts this content, but I haven't got on his page yet, so I guess that'd be a new thing. This is the same guy that said Michael Phelps is a fallen angel and then comparing him to H.P. Lovecraft. But it's not just his page. Other people have compared the same thing with his talent in the water and snake logos from the 80s on his surfboards. And some of that connection go back to Nephilim, because the Nephilim are the offspring of fallen angels and humans, and the Nephilim are associated with the watery realm. And Michael Phelps and Kelly Slater are good in the water, so you got to connect them back to that, I guess. Or that Kelly Slater could be a shapeshifter, and he could also be RFK and Mel Gibson all at once. They even have a person out here comparing scars and freckles. And then going to Beyonce's mom, people are saying they're not going to eat her gumbo, not just because it was poisoning people, but also because she's a shapeshifter, and they're not going to trust the food that comes from a shapeshifter. The $26 a bowl gumbo should have been enough to keep you away. I guess it's just been a fun time over on religious Nephilim, shapeshifter, gumbo TikTok. You ever sit and think to yourself, what fucking timeline are we even in anymore with this shot right here coming out of the White House? We already know that the tech oligarchs are steering the ship. You don't have to put this big neon sign up at the White House and have it flashing. Even if you don't want to accept it, we have quietly accepted that tech companies have their hands on everything. The data, the platforms, the infrastructure. That wasn't the shocking part, because we know it's happening. The strange part about all of this is how it stopped being subtle. It used to be something that happened behind layers of glass and NDAs and offices that we didn't have any access to. But now we're at the point where it just looks like it's happening center stage with a spotlight, and we're supposed to just clap along while the curtain comes up. I already hear people in the comments when I bring up videos about Skynet and the tech oligarchs taking over, and it's just me being crazy. And that's fine, you can think about it that way, but we all joked about things like Skynet growing up. And you can have the opinions you want to have, and I can have the opinions I want to have, but this shit isn't going to go good. It may not be T-1000s becoming self-aware with their AI, but it's going to be creepy dudes at Palantir finally just taking over everything. Well, they're already taking over everything, just making it more public. I bet it's been a crazy day for all those space isn't real people with this new Artemis launch that happened just a little bit ago. I've already seen a bunch of dialogue about it on here, that they're just staging all this to make us believe space is real. But let's watch a little bit of the launch.
4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon.
If you've been following me for long enough, I bring up the space isn't real conspiracy a lot. Not underground tunnels a lot, but a lot. And so many of y'all have sent me videos of this space launch to talk about it. And I've always questioned why we haven't went back to the moon after all this time. You have that whole theory that all the technology was lost, which is a weird one. But another clip I really want to show y'all about this Artemis launch is what the crew said beforehand.
The opportunity to answer the question that could be the question of our lifetime, which is, are we alone? When we go out and meet people, people ask that all the time. Have you seen evidence of this? What can we learn? And the fact is that answering that question starts at the moon. The moon is a witness plate to our entire solar system's formation. It's a stepping stone to Mars, where we might have the most likelihood of finding evidence of past life.
That video clip kind of has that whole let's prepare you before we release the information kind of thing. The information that we already have, but let's waste tax dollar money to go to the moon. That way we can give you information we already have. But all you space ain't real people, what's the real reason for this launch? So all these images coming out of this are starting to look very familiar. Like, too familiar. And I thought about how would I talk about this subject without my video getting flagged, because if I talk about what happened in the past, well, the recent past, all those videos always get flagged. So let's talk about just some of the basics up front. A virus broke out on a cruise ship, people were quarantined on it, but before that seemed to happen, a lot of people got off the boat and went to all the corners of the world. And contact tracing has started, and they'd only do that if they're worried about exactly that, tracing the contacts. And if you get on world news, the world news is covering this, but American news, they barely just started covering. And I'm going to speed run a lot of this, I guess. This guy's definitely reading a teleprompter. I don't know if he wrote a script and he's reading his own script, but something's definitely off on this guy's video. Argentina is starting to catch and test rodents at the origin point, but reports are saying 23 people got off of the ship and went to all corners of the world. All this is happening right before the World Cup, where people from all around the world are going to be in one spot. 7 Americans who returned back to the United States are being monitored by state health departments. The U.S. left the World Health Organization, and also Argentina. And where did this originate from, they're thinking? There's a lot of theories of what happened in the past, and there's going to be a lot of theories with this one. I guess we're just gonna wait. But if this video doesn't get flagged, I'm definitely going to cover this more, so prepare for that. Alright y'all, so this was just a trial run. Let me know what I can change or what I can improve on doing videos like this. And if you would like to see more stuff like this.